Okay, Zishan, I'm going to get started in 3, 2, 1. Welcome to Behind the Build. I'm your host, Jonathan Jacobs, and today I've got with me a gentleman who is currently in Toronto and tends to frequent Toronto, but is actually not living in Toronto on a regular basis. He lives in Italy. I was recently introduced to him through a number of other people here in the city. We were initially supposed to record this about a month and a half ago, and I ran into a whole bunch of technical difficulties. But alas, we reconnect, and we are now sitting in a beautifully hot room. We're going to sweat together. I've got with me today Stefano Pujatti from ElasticoFARM. Stefano, thanks for joining.
Ciao, ciao, nice to meet you. And finally, we are gonna make it. Maybe.
First time I tried this, I forgot a cord. Well, I actually had the cord, but it didn't work. Nonetheless, so I was introduced through Stefano through some other guys that we've worked with over the years, with Jason Halter and Joel Loblaw, a landscape architect. Become friends with those guys, and they suggested we connect, and so happily connected with you. I've come to know your work. I've now researched you a little bit. Even though you sit across from me and we lock eyes.
Yeah.
So the way that I always like to start things off is that I always want to start with getting to know you as a person from the earliest memories you have as you as a person. So I don't know if this is 2, 3, 4. What kind of kid were you? What were some of your early interests? Where were you born? Where did you grow up?
Okay, that's a very dangerous question on what's my interest. But anyway, my
Didn't
what
take
I
long.
may, but may I have to say that I started that interest very early. But I was born in Budoia, is a small village close to Pordenone on the eastern part of Italy, close north of Venice.
Okay.
It's a fantastic location that is in the hills, just close to the mountains and close to, not too far from the seaside. So it's a kind of magic place to grow. And in a village that when I grew up was still very rural. And we had one particular peculiar thing in the village that was that we are very close to the NATO base. So I grew up with a lot of Americans
Okay.
that actually exposed me to different way of seeing things that were different from what maybe other people from other places could have had, and exposed me to ice cream instead than gelato, and making me understand that gelato was one and ice cream was another thing, and. Exposed me to seeing huge cars that couldn't go through the streets of my village because they were too big, and so they
You're
could
talking
not.
like old Chevys?
Yeah,
They
yes,
ship stuff like that over
yeah,
there?
they were. They shipped. They used to ship older cars, so
Why? Their
we
Italian
was,
cars were so much better.
and they were like, no, they were beautiful, and they had this the spaceship design that was pretty fantastic, I think, and they had this plate that was AFI that I really like it.
Okay.
And nowadays they are driving European cars in the NATO base, but because they wanna look like European, not to
Right.
get terrorist attacks or stuff like that. But anyway, at that time it was pretty cool to grow up in that environment, and I've always been interested to. I have to say to the buildings because I remember my parents restoring part of our house, and I was with the builder of days. I was interested in that. I was interested in the farms. I was interested in construction, in farming, in horses, and the love for horses kept on all my life.
So
So there
did
are two
you
things that I love for all
did
my life.
you did you ride on horses at a young age?
Yeah, I started riding pretty young, yes, because started riding donkeys actually, and then
Yeah.
slowly my parents thought it was not too cool to do that, so maybe it was better to
To get on
go,
a horse.
yeah, to get on a horse and on a pony at the beginning. But yeah, and I was pretty lucky because my parents always thought that Budoia was too much of a small place, so me and my brother started traveling very early.
Okay.
And we started going to Switzerland in summers and other places. I didn't particularly like that, but I learned to travel. So
What
going to
What did your
London.
parents do?
Oh, my mother was a hairdresser,
Okay.
and my father was an accountant in a factory of furniture.
Okay.
And then after a while, he became his own entrepreneur and worked with my brother in many different things. And together, they settled up a quite important firm that produces kitchens,
Oh,
kitchens for restaurants, industrial kitchens, but high-end restaurant kitchen and houses kitchen too. So
interesting.
so that's so it was part of the of my interest in design and comes even for that idea that design can change things and so that's why we work on our office. We work from industrial design to buildings to factory. We don't have an idea. We think that design is a way of thinking.
Right.
Is not a matter of the program. It's not a matter of dimensions. It's not. It's a way of thinking, and that's a lot deals with how I grew up. I think.
So when you were young and your father was working as the accountant in this factory, did you have recollection of going there and touring through the factory?
Yeah, yeah. My father was not in the design thing,
Yeah.
but we actually always went to the Milano fair, to the Padova fair. There were like furniture fair. That's pretty big. They've
Yeah.
always been pretty big, and I've always been interested. Actually, at a certain point of my life, I thought of going into that kind of work because it sounded easy for me to get a job on that. But actually, as soon as I started studying architecture, I understood that that was not my really focus.
Yeah.
But if you ask me what's my real focus is, I change it so many times that
Yeah, it's okay.
maybe one day I will do design
So,
only furniture.
so then, how did you and your brother start traveling? Like, how old were you when this started? And was it did your parents tell you should go travel, or was this something that you said you're at
No,
a
no.
stage
Actually, we were really young, like 6 year old. They sent us to college in Switzerland, or
at
we
6?
send 6, 5, 6. Yeah, very young. Exposed us to different languages, French, good manners. Swiss are good for that.
Yes.
And
In the
I
army?
always think that I learned French.
Oh,
Good
you still
manners,
haven't, still
no
haven't
good
learned it?
manners. But that's part of the joke, maybe. And but then when we went to school to try to learn English, something that I still struggle with, we went to London, and then I went to university in Venice, and in soon afterwards in California. So it's like I've been traveling a lot,
Yeah.
but other than that, the reason we just been traveling for many things, but what I think it's important of traveling when you go in a place is not important how many places you have been, but when you go to a place and you go in a place with a purpose. So I don't, and you stay a while in a purpose there with a purpose, and that's what for me traveling is, not just going and having vacation. That's I try.
You want to
I do
explore.
it. I do it because I'm pushed to do it, but I don't find it particularly rewarding. For me, vacation is staying home with my horse and staying in my farm, doing my garden,
Yeah,
and
you're
so.
you're not looking to go to an all-inclusive and sit on a beach.
No, I'm not gonna go. I'm not. I refuse. If I have to travel, I travel. Yeah, I don't say with my backpack, but very close to that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I can appreciate that. We can
yeah.
talk about that more. But so then what were you an artistic kid? Because what I know of you now, but I will now educate others is that we talk about the accounting element is not your favorite thing. The design element is. So what were you as a kid? Did you like to
Yeah,
draw?
I think I have a problem with numbers. I've always had a problem with numbers. Although I was not bad in mathematics, but I was not good in mathematics at all. And but but maybe in school I was not good in anything. It's like I didn't really like. I really didn't like school. I just read a lot on my own. I had my interest in which I was really focused on, and I liked art. I've always been liking art. I remember being very young and asking my mother to bring me to Venice because at the Accademia that I wanted to see an exhibit of a painter. I don't even remember who was, but I wanted to see. I think was Byzantine painting or something like that, and I really I read about that in a magazine, and I said, "Oh, you want to go to Venice to see that?" And I remember being very interested in that, and I went with my brother who got really bored about that. He was a man of numbers, so
maybe it's an appropriate time to apologize to him. Sorry.
yeah, but it's too late to apologize. Yeah, that's about that. And I've always been good, better than now in drawing, and because I used to draw a lot. So in drawing, you need to draw a lot. Now I'm drawing, but I'm not drawing as much as I used to. And so there was always this interest in things, and I remember looking a lot in construction sites and stuff like that, and being always impressed by the new buildings that were coming up in my village. And somehow I was very, very lucky, because when I was going to, I would say 8th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, I was taking the bus to go to the bigger town, not my village, but I had to go like 15 kilometers from home.
Okay.
And taking the bus, I always noticed two buildings on the way that were pretty impressive, and they were all concrete, exposed concrete, and they were different. They were different, and everybody was like, they were just built, and everybody in the bus were like criticizing that, and I found them so good and so nice. And only this to say that maybe 15 years after or 10 years after, when I went to university, I discovered that I was doing a course with the same guy that built those two buildings, and who became my
your professor,
and the person I worked more, and who probably taught me more about architecture.
How interesting. And total coincidence.
I think it was a total coincidence, yes, but I believe a lot in coincidences.
Yeah.
So I think it was meant to be like that, and it was interesting because he was a very hard person to get close to. But actually, there was a feeling that between us that soon, when I was a student, he kind of understood, and so there was a very deep appreciation that came before I even met him. So
interesting. And what do you attest that to? What do you think it was that made him willing to want to open up in some capacity?
I don't know if he ever opened up, but he surely had an appreciation on myself, on my work, because he was a guy that liked a lot drawing, and he was a painter before being an architect. And my way of approaching the project tried to be rational, but never was. Every project I do, I try to be rational, but I'm actually not. And
you're irrational.
I think I'm. I don't like. I don't put that the thing of rationalism, the rational thinking, as a first thing in my work. Actually, people who work with us were pretty impressed by how pragmatic we are in our work. We are very pragmatic, but after we got an idea that is completely out there without any filters or without any taboo or without anything. So we try to become pragmatic on our way, and to make it easy to understand how to build it. But the starting point is never an equation of profit or dimensions or I don't know
Yeah,
use or
you're
whatever.
not looking at the constraints.
I'm not interested in the constraints.
Yeah.
I'm interested in the opportunities,
Yeah.
and try to work with that to do what generally is what I conceive with a relation with a client, or what I think that the place can need. So it's but we were talking about it's all connected probably to my way the way I grew up. It's
Yeah.
like I hated teachers. That was my thing. Why I understood later why I was not a good student is because I don't like the constraints
Yeah.
of the power. People in front of me telling me what to do. I never like that,
Yeah.
and I don't like even when I'm telling myself what to do. So it's that way of thinking that I think somehow helped me on my profession to do what I really like.
So it's interesting because now I can actually, might have made a joke before we started recording by calling you the stallion. And the joke that I made earlier actually holds some merit because what I realize is you're more like the Bronco. You like the concept of being able to be free, and
No one of us is free. No one of
well,
us is free, but I don't want to be. If there are many things that I have not to be free.
yeah,
Work is not that. Work is not the place I decided not to be free.
right,
So on work, I try generally to do what I think is right for. You have to be honest. You don't have to be free. So you have to be free, but you have to be honest.
yeah, but
So that's. I never force my clients. I actually try to educate those that maybe don't understand why I'm doing some things, and I find it much more fun, much more interesting, and much more creating a relation.
mhm.
And it's the same thing I do with when I ride a horse. It's like I don't try to tame him. I try to create a relation, and I found out that animal people, we are all the same things. We are like we just don't like. Maybe I don't like people to impose on myself, and I don't like to impose myself on other people.
Yeah, fair. Okay, so I want to get to like how this becomes even more apparent over the course of your life. So you had mentioned before that you'd gone to school in London, and then from London you eventually landed in California.
No, I went to Venice. I studied in
Oh,
Venice.
Vegas. Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
I went to London to study to study English,
Okay.
which is still hard stuff.
It's
I'm improving, huh?
yeah,
Years before
yeah.
were worse.
So tell me, what was the London experience like for you as like in your development? Like, what did you feel you were able to gain from London? What was the intent with London?
The 10th of London was like probably grade 11, grade I don't know,
Okay.
it's like something like that, and I went for 3 4 years, and has always been going to learn English and to see different way of life. That
Hmm.
was my parents never moved from their village, but they knew that it was important that we did. So they did all the possible efforts, and I'm very grateful to them that to make us go out and look out. They understood the value of that,
Yeah.
and yeah. So London, to me, of course, it is exposed to different way of life and different way of seeing things, and again is another place where I got exposed a lot to art because I felt there were things that I was interested. So it's every occasion I had when I was there, even if I was very young, it was like looking for this thing that I didn't understand. I've always been attracted by things I don't understand.
Because you want to understand them.
Not because I'm
Okay.
curious. I'm curious to see them. I
Yeah.
don't know if I want to understand them, but I want to know that they exist somehow. I never think I will understand art. I just like to see it. And the more you see it, and then if you ask me if I understand, no, most of the time I don't understand because what I like, what I feel that they have an attraction, I probably don't understand.
Right.
So it's there's a lot of the poetic of the I don't know that is what I always talk about. The I don't know. I don't know is like when I started building, I don't know how I will finish it. I don't know how I will build it. I don't know if I have some tools to build it. I think I have some tools, but I have some ways, but I don't know. I really don't know. And that fact of not knowing keeps my attention on the thing. That's what I found important along the way. And those English experiences, coming to Canada was the same. Was a place I didn't know.
Well,
I
hold
had
on.
no.
Let's not go to Canada yet. Let's go to
No,
Vegas.
Canada is no. Vegas was another important. I probably went 15 times to Vegas, but in the 90s when it was really fun.
Okay.
It was fun. I never gambled, but it was fun to. That was the time. It was the time that even came out of that book, Learning from Las Vegas, and we were all influenced by that. And so it's. I always try.
Woody Harrelson.
What?
Woody Harrelson? Is that?
No. Learning for Las Vegas is
Leaving Las
Robert Venturi and Scott Brown, I think.
Okay.
I'm very bad with name, but Robert Venturi for sure.
Okay.
But then they will say that I just remember the man and not the woman. That it's not generally I remember the woman, not the man, but it's okay.
I'm thinking of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. I'm thinking of another movie.
What?
I'm thinking of a completely different movie.
No, it's not a movie. It's a book.
Right.
It's a book by Robert Venturi, and it's an important book which actually shaped some of my thinking. I have to say. So it's Vegas is an interesting. I got totally disappointed now that it's become a institutional fun place.
Yeah.
And I just drove through this summer, but
I've never gone there.
It was no. It was really an interesting, much more interesting place when it was more. A little bit more a mess, more something everything could happen. Now is everything could happen maybe in some places, but I don't know them.
Right.
Now you have to look for the places for people.
So where did you study architecture in school?
I studied in Venice. In Venice, the School of Venice. Yeah.
Okay.
Which was at that moment probably the most important school in Italy and probably in Europe. We had great teachers. I was very lucky. I had among the best teachers in Europe. One was my teacher was Professor Cinovalle, which I worked with, and that was from my region. And after studying in LA, he was the only one who hired me. The other one would not even look at me. And the other thing, the other teachers we had there was like Aldo Rossi or Gregotti, Venezia. We had great names, Talcott, Furi. You mentioned the Cacciari, philosophers. They were like, it was a school really advanced school that was getting out of the, in a very brilliant, still very Italian way, was getting out of the postmodern period to embrace something new, and it was a solid school. It was very good. It was maybe too solid for me, so I got a big fascination from of course Frank Gehry and everything that was happening in the west coast of the States, and I was lucky enough to be able to go there. And I went there, and I was able.
This is after you finished university.
Yeah, after I finished university in Italy, I went for a master there, and
at which school?
At SCIARC, Southern California Institute of Architecture, which was a very advanced and surfer school at the time. So it was just changing from his first location to their second location that was in Marina del Rey, and so it was a nice time, as a lot of experimentation, really a completely different way of seeing the world. All the deconstructivists were there, from Morphosis to Kopp Himmelblau to Eric Owen Moss. Very often Hadid was coming for lecturing, and Gehry was coming for reviews. So it was a really interesting environment. So I have to say, if I'm a bad architect, I surely cannot blame on the education I
Yeah.
had, because from Italy to California, I had really among the most important teachers of my century.
I was going to
Somehow.
say of the current era.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
the of that area.
Yeah.
Era now there's surely some different way of proceeding, or other people.
Yeah.
But I was lucky. I was lucky on that. I always prize that the fact of having been able to hear these people and listen to those people. And believe me, if they are important people, is because it's not because they had a good Instagram. Is they were like because they were saying something that was actually opening doors and
Right.
not closing doors. Yeah, I was. Yeah, that was that changed completely my way of thinking,
I would
of
imagine.
seeing and seeing architecture, thinking architecture so much that when I'm in North America, of course, I bring my influence from Europe, and I look like a European architect, but or my things look like architecture that has an influence from Europe for sure. But when I'm in Europe, they say you like more American than Italian. I don't know what I look for like, but I'm probably just a cowboy born in the wrong place. So that's how I like to present myself.
So, because I would imagine when you're showing up to your masters, you feel like you've learned a great deal from the people that you were just with over those couple years in the amazing talent that you've had as professors, and you show up there, and then you have this other pool of
The
people,
total emptiness is like
right? You're
my
like, oh my god, what
no.
do I
It's
know?
everything was wrong. What I was doing, everything was totally wrong. I was a great drafter. I drew very well with ink or pencil, and could do incredible perspective. And no one cares. Everybody asked me to make models. It's like I don't know how to make models, but I do. The only one who really appreciated was Tom Main, who liked drawing a lot. But at the same time, they were requesting to do a lot of models. So I had to change my way of seeing space.
Right.
And it really changes your way of perceiving things, making model rather than making perspectives in which you control some pieces, and it's like making rendering somehow. Uh, but when you make a model, there's no there are no tricks. That's what it is. And so I learned that I that idea that is still in my mind of being very truthful through all the process of design. So model helps me to be honest with myself, and helps the people who work with me in the office to be honestly looking at the project as a total thing, not just a piece of that I want to sell. Yeah, the selling aspect is never been an important part of my
Right.
profession, I have to say.
It's hard. It's different.
It's a different job.
Yeah, it's
It's
different.
a different job. You cannot, as architects, we are asked to do so many things. You have to provide the work, to sell yourself, to draw, to think the numbers. There's so many things you have to do politics.
Yeah, and
Architecture is politics.
and you have professional liability that is associated with all of it.
Yes, and so it's like I know what I'm better at and what I'm worse at, and the selling part is not a good part, and the number part is not a good part. So I always find I'm lucky enough, and to always find people who's very good on helping me with that. And I have a partner in Italy who's very good on that, and he's a great human being. We grew up in the same place, and we always been working together. And then I was lucky enough to come to Toronto and meet with Craig Fordyce, who I work with. It's deep here, and they are helping me with those aspects that I'm not good at.
So I'll go there too. I'll go into that in a bit. I'm curious to know from the time that you arrived, because what I find interesting is the element that you describe as well of coming from Europe and then moving to North America, because it's like culturally so different. So when
Yeah.
you moved to the U.S. for school, what do you feel like were some of the hardest challenges? And was it finding a place to live? Was it the social connectivity to the other students in the school? Did you feel like you could connect with them well, or did you feel like you were an outsider? Like, what did that feel like?
No, I have to say that in SciAc there was people from all over the world. So
Okay.
that was not one big problem.
Okay.
I actually had no big problem with that. No, it was culturally the way to approach work, and we were um, we were very proud of being thinkers. And I got to a place in which it was like the Nike advertisements, like just do it. And I was talking and thinking and writing, and they were like looking at me and say, just do it. We want to see it done. And and that was a big push for me to get out of my comfort zone and get into something else. So now I know that there is a time to think and there's a time to do things. And sometimes in our work, we have to be fast in doing things. You learn to be fast on time, and you learn to be fast even by, I say, a very ugly word is like using other people. I don't use other people, but I just using the energy of other people
Yeah.
to make
Energy and
things, skill sets,
Yeah.
and like trusting and
Yeah.
using and trusting other people to make the job. So at a certain point, you get to a point in which you can become fast because you understand that you're not alone, and our job is never a one-person job. It's like I rely a lot on the skills of people who work with me in the office, in the other offices, in the building space,
Yeah.
and which is another place in which I like to listen a lot to what people who's working on the project think, and I like to understand how they see the things, because there's always space to change things till the last moment. I'm never so there's so many things you don't know when you start a building, and there's so many things that you could learn doing one building, that every time it's a learning process, process, and I like my idea is to enjoy that process.
The process.
As far as much as I can, and as far as I can.
Were you ever able, when you were in your master's program, were you ever able to find a local restaurant that could remind you of home?
In the States,
Yeah.
no.
Okay.
There's nothing that can
Wow,
do that, because it's the ingredients are completely different.
I know.
You can, there was a local place that could be home. It was my home when I cooked for my friends.
Yeah, okay.
That's like, yes, I feel like I was doing that. But anyway, I could never do it at the total way.
At the level, at the level of home.
At the level of home, because
Fair.
you have different,
So,
and I'm spoiled on that sense. So it's like,
yeah. Okay. And I asked that question because I always find like food is in some ways your comfort, right? Like it's always enjoyable to try something new, and I'm all for it. But there's always going to be something where, like, if you're feeling down
yeah.
and you want to have something that's going to try to help you make you feel a little better, something that reminds you of home.
Oh yeah. It's true. It's true. It's like it's like I can't live without pasta, but that's probably that's a problem. It's like,
I've seen videos. There's these I'm sorry, I'm digressing, but there's viral videos of people doing this in front of their like Italian mothers, where they're taking the dry pasta and cracking it and then putting it in the pot, and the mother's going crazy at them. What are you doing?
yeah, yeah.
So, okay. So you finish your master's program, and what does it look like for you? Was there an internship that you were able to fulfill as well, or do you?
Yeah. I did some modeling for Gehry, short, like
Yeah.
3 months, and then I worked for Copyman there, and that was the 94, end of 94 was a big crisis in the States. So I looked for work in Austin, in Texas, and I remember going looking around in Texas. I wanted to go to Texas because there's good horses there, and I wanted, or I would have liked to stay in other places in the southwest anyway. But it was not possible, so I flew back to Italy, and then I went to work for my teacher who had just doing a job in Paris. So he asked me to be responsible for one small part of this huge job, and actually I ended up taking care of a bigger part, and then but I just worked.
By coincidence, or because he had seen what you were capable of, so he gave you more
I can't answer.
know.
I can answer. It just happened, I think.
Okay.
But that's then. But this didn't last very long. That just close to 2 years, because I really felt I needed to start my way of my own things. I was interested in exploring things that were not there yet. And at that time you think that you're the best of the possible best, and or at least I thought that. And then it takes time to go away that idea.
So has it left yet?
I hope it never leaves me,
Yeah.
but it's you become more pragmatic and you understand that's a limit to yourself.
Don't say that. Don't put constraints on yourself.
No,
I'm
I'm not, and you know very well I'm not putting constraints on myself.
Okay, so let's talk about this. So now you work for this other gentleman. You realize that it's time to go and you want to start for yourself. So what does it look like when you want to go out on your own? Do you immediately just go out on your own and open your own practice, or do you start to moonlight like some people many people I've spoken to, where you're working?
What is moonlight?
I'm going to explain it. Yeah. So where you're working there, but you start to get a project.
No.
No. So you leave.
I leave and I risk it on my own. I never wanted to risk in the shoulder. When someone works, I think it should be. I've been always very strict, even with the people who works with me. If you work with me, you work with me,
Yeah.
and you put all your energy with me together. I'm not, and if you have other projects you like outside the office, it's good that you do. I'm gonna help you doing, but you're out of my office. You don't use, because I know myself. I think about my projects in any minutes of my life. There's not 1 minute in which I don't think of what I have to do in that specific project I'm very interested for.
Mm-hmm.
So if someone has to start his own practice, he should be honest enough to go out of the office he's working and concentrate himself and trying to risk on himself and concentrate on the project he really wants to do.
Right.
Because that's important. It's an important way of putting yourself in the market, and even to see yourself as an architect that is able to do that. I was lucky again because I had a partner. I had a friend who I studied with in Los Angeles that was living in Torino, where now I live. So I came from Venice. Now I live in Torino. I moved from the east to the west. Hopefully more in the west in the future. Then I'm Toronto. Maybe I'll go back to the real west. But when I was in Paris, we decided we wanted to open an office together, and I went straight to my boss, who was really for me an idol. I was really always. I will always prize his patience with me, and I told him I want to open an office, and he said it's time you do it.
How did you feel going into that discussion? Were you anxious, or did you feel like remorse for this?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I knew that the guy actually liked me,
Yeah.
and I knew that if he felt that that was not good, he would have told me. It's like it's the wrong thing to do. And when he said, "I think it's the right time," I felt really very good, very well. And we kept in touch after that. And the biggest compliment I had in my life from him was one day that he told me, this was short before he died, and he was lying in his Le Corbusier chair, and I showed him a project that had just been finished for a house, and he told me, I never understood how you put pieces together, but they work. And that's for me was a great compliment, because he was one that would not tell you that if he didn't feel that. So it was a good, and that gave me a lot of energy. I have to say, I still live of that energy. And I didn't feel any tension on going on. I was, again, we started working in Torino, and actually my friend Alberto, who's now my partner, the one that was born close to me, and we still are partner, was coming out of from a rough project in which he was not really able to find the way out, and it was very difficult, politically difficult for the city. It was a cemetery, and
a cemetery.
Yeah, was a project of a cemetery, and he was just out of starting his own company, and he had this project that was big, but the project was politically very complicated.
Okay.
And so he asked me if I could help, and of course I had already a partnership with this other friend from Torino, and they said, okay, yes, we help you. And we went through the process, and actually we went through it fast and furious, and we got it built. We got the approvals soon, and it was a project that was not talking about. We were coming from both of us, me and Simone, that was my partner at the time, were coming out of Los Angeles, so. Los Angeles, and I was in Paris. I'd always been interested in art, Then I was traveling in the States, watching Richard Serra, Donald Judd, the land art, and so I actually, we approached the project as a piece of land art, and it went through very well. There was an old church from the 12th century that had a lot of was posing a lot of restriction. We actually designed in a way that was not a problem for the church, so they really appreciated. And we got out of the political meeting in which they decide if building or not, with a total approval for both parties. And the mayor of the town came out and said, "Oh, I have another project for you," and they gave us a crematorium. So we started from the end, really. And
this is not where I would have assumed this conversation would
go. No, it's like we started really from the end and said, like, maybe before dying I will do a kindergarten. And so is the, and we started working on this other project. So yeah, but I think we went through those periods having a lot of fun.
Yeah,
really, without any restriction. We did those projects and we presented to the political party with the music from Kurt Cobain, and you present a crematorium with music from Kurt Cobain, who just died 1 year before.
Yeah.
So it was a very
dark but
humorous, and we were like not really. Now I would never have that strength of doing that, but we were able to build even both those first projects were built, things that we were like 26, 27.
Crazy.
And so building those public work so soon, so fast, gave us the stamina to go.
The confidence.
And the confidence to go on and to actually approach more that we were approached by privates, and then we started working more in Torino too, because the father of my ex-partner, Simone Carena, was an artist and an architect. And I was more interested in the artistic part of his work. And so we started collaborating with him, so we were able to get bigger projects.
And what were the projects? Were they single-family residential at this point, or what were they?
We did some single-family, but we started doing even some really I would say, prêt-à-porter, not haute couture buildings. So it's like some kind of residential multifamily houses
Okay.
that some came out okay, some were not. We did some commercial that sometimes I bring my people from my office to look to just to show how much shit we did, and it was, but that was part of the game.
Of
That was
course.
part of learning, and we every one of those projects we approached as it could become the next prize Pritzker Prize building, but then we didn't have the tools to manage that, and we didn't know how to deal with the clients, which were always happy about what we did, but they were happy of the result. We weren't, and so then we were able to on this process we were able to get some really good commissions. And one was another cemetery that won the Young Architects Best Project in Italy for from Inarcance, which is the builders and the architects association together. So they gave a prize, which was a prize that was given to the designer, to the builder,
Yeah.
and to the owner.
Interesting.
And there was a public work, and it was a very important result for us. It was in 2006 that we won that award, and this actually was the last work we did together with Simone Carena. After that, he kept. We had an office. In the meantime, we opened an office in Korea where he liked to live.
In Korea.
Yeah, in South Korea, of course, and North Korea would have been more interesting, but with South
He went to
Korea,
the north. See you later.
no, and then we decided he was going on there, and I kept going on in Italy, and I had the young kids, babies, and 3 kids to grow up, and so I tried to be as serious as possible. And we started getting some better commission at that point. I was at that point of my time I was riding a lot too, so I was competing
In what kind of?
is Western competition, from raining to Western pleasure. I was doing a little bit of all those things that make me feel like a cowboy, although I was not. It's okay. And that period, I had a lot of. I stayed home a lot. I didn't travel a lot. I didn't.
You're focused on the work.
I focused. I focused on the family a lot and on growing my kids, and that was a good investment, I have to say. Then. Actually, I came to Canada, so that's a moment in which actually I got a little bit farther from my kids. But
So what year is this? 2008?
no, this was when I came to Canada was to 2014.
14.
Okay, yeah, so it was like they were already young men, girls, and young men, and so it's okay. They're never big enough for us, of course, but they were starting to be. And
what led you to Canada?
I came with a friend who's a material expert, Marcello Napoleone, who actually is a good friend, and he always been a supplier of materials for me in Italy, but not only supplier, consultant. He and the friends like I can work with him on materials that are from leather to stone to concrete to chain link nets that I want to do in a special way. I know that he knows a place in the world where someone can make it for me, and at the cheapest possible price. So it's never, and so it was a moment in which I was like understanding that I wanted to. The work was not bad in Italy, but was not great, and we were published a lot, but at the same time there was like a lack of risk on the other. Yeah, there were we had some bigger projects, but I felt like I needed something different, which I don't know if I found it in Canada. I have to be honest about that. My expectations were a little bit bigger, but I came and I jumped into the university, and again, lucky as always, I found a way to talk to the dean, and were able to to show what I was able to do as a teacher. At that time, I was teaching in the University of Torino. And yeah, I taught there for 2 semesters.
At which school?
At U of T.
U of T.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And so I came for those months. It was like a test.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, I started doing some work here. The first work we did are the offices in a marble factory. That's York Marble in, I think, North York.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed working with Glenn and we did an excellent job there, I think. And it's like 10 years have passed. I went there recently. I'm still proud of having done that.
Okay. Well,
And so that's how I
good.
came. That's how I came. Then one thing leads to another. You know, you start working a little bit, trying things that never go on, but made us understand what were our potential in this place, or what actually was not really appreciated.
And sorry, go ahead.
And going on, we were lucky enough to find the right people to work and the right.
Yeah, how? So that's what I'm also curious about. Is like, how do you ultimately end up engaging in projects in a country that like you don't really know, you don't have the roots, and so how do you build the network?
Again, I have to prize a lot of people. Craig for sure.
How did you meet Craig?
What?
How did you meet Craig?
I met Craig through Diego, who I really is another great friend here, Italian. And then there was a period in which we did a lot of things here culturally, because there was the Italian Institute of Culture with the director was Alessandro Ruggera, who's a brilliant guy that actually asked me to put together a group of people to bring some exhibits of architecture in Toronto. So the first, as we didn't know if it worked or not, the first exhibit in the Italian Institute was of me and a good friend that's Beniamino Servino. We did, I think, an excellent exhibit. And then in that moment, I started knowing Jason, or Roberto Damiani came into play. That is an Italian teacher at U of T, came into play, and he substituted me with the Italian Institute because I was not always here, and he organized other exhibits of Italian architects. Unfortunately, all of that has died because the director after Alessandro was not at the level Alessandro was. I don't have any I say restraint in saying that. Is just destroyed one program that I think was very valuable for Italians.
Yeah,
culturally, is even because it was not always only speaking of Italy as a place for pasta and traditional food or things like that. It's like showing a modern Italy of what Italian architecture actually is able of doing now.
Right.
And it was a good way of promoting our profession and our way of thinking too. Unfortunately, it didn't go on.
I want to just mention, because we've been saying some names, but I feel like it's important to state. So one of the people we're talking about was Craig Fordyce.
Yeah.
Who has been running a practice here in Toronto for a number of years, and who we've now mutually I now know him through you, and you can, if you're listening with us right now, I can tell you, if you pay attention, Craig will be coming up, if not the week after this release, within subsequent weeks, I will have Craig on here as well, because Craig's also an incredible human being and running a really great practice. In addition to Craig, you also mentioned Jason, who's Jason Halter. I would implore anyone listening now, look back a couple weeks from now, or maybe a couple months, a couple episodes ago, you can listen to Jason Halter's, because Jason
and Kevin Weiss is
and Kevin Weiss, yeah,
another guy that know. So I have a lot of friends I was able to make through architecture here, and I like the place because there's a lot of good connection, and I met a lot of good artists.
Yeah.
One of them, Bruno Bilio, is now running a bed and breakfast in my place in Italy and doing art there for the gallery I own there. So it was for me opening a new door and having the opportunity of met good people. I have here then Enzo Giambattista, who's the partner of Marcello Napoleone, who they import materials, and I've been working with them in several buildings here in Toronto, and they have always been able to actually bridge my knowledge of technology in Italy and making it suitable for Canada with all the difficulties about the climate and all of that. So it's been a series of continuous growth, and I still feel the growth, and I still feel I'm learning a lot of things thanks to these friends of mine that are all
Yeah, I
helping.
mean, look, the network. You mentioned it before. It's like luck, not coincidence. But it is one thing to be able to develop a network, but it is also another thing to be able to maintain your network, right? And to honor and appreciate the people that have come into your life.
Well, it's obvious. I obviously, excuse me, cannot not honor that because it's reality. It's like I would be dishonest with myself
I know, but
in thinking, no, you can step into many interesting things if you prize the people you are around, and no one is perfect. I'm not perfect. The people around me is not perfect, but then you get to learn a lot, and yeah, and here everybody, a lot of people with me for me in Canada has been very good, has been great friends that I keep, and they come. I really, at a certain point, I was thinking of quitting with Canada. Something happened that actually a couple of projects came in the moment I was taking the plane. Literally, it was like the day before, already closed the house here. And came, but I have to say that I was very sad of doing that because I have great connections. Every time I come over here, I enjoy a lot. Meeting with people is my. I always say when I'm in Italy, Canadians think I'm in vacation, and when in Canada, everybody in Italy thinks I'm in vacation. At the end of the day, I'm never in vacation, but I'm always in vacation because I always have the time to enjoy the place and yeah, enjoy the experience. And then I have to be very grateful to the people who trusted me in this time because even coming, someone coming from Italy, okay, and then giving him your money to build the house. You're putting. I always have a huge respect for all the clients I had in my life because if I think they are putting all their money or a lot of their money in my hands to do their dream, which has becomes even my dream. And sometimes it's not only their money, but it's the money before because they have maybe the parents giving them the money, or they have to sell something that was their past to do that, and then their future too because they have loans. So they're worth a lot of respect from me. It's like I always think about that in single family houses, and then even for people who build to trust someone to build to sell, or that's their business.
yeah.
To trust someone that is actually coming from abroad that maybe you don't know if he's able to perform, is able to deliver. It has been hard to find someone, but now at this moment we have people that really trust, think that we can make a little bit of a difference on what they generally have. So we are happy about that. And
Well, yeah, I think also if you're fortunate enough in your life to be able to go ahead and take on a project, and I will refer solely to single family
yeah.
homes, where you have that ability to be able to go and do it. It is a daunting and risky and scary task, and you're investing a lot of money, and you're hoping the team you're going to bring together is going to actually be able to execute for you.
Oh yeah.
So owning the responsibility is an important part of it.
Yeah, it's like I own. They sometimes people say that like I am. I look after a lot to my clients, but I really is something I feel like, because I always really feel very responsible for the work they are showing appreciation on me, and especially if I'm in abroad like here, it's like it's a lot, it's a lot, and yeah, and but in Italy too is like it's having projects is for me, for my nervous system is a gift. It helps me a lot to do things. Yeah. So it's I get it as a gift. Then I know that I grew up my family on that, so I had to take money out of it, and I like the fact that because the money connected to that is actually the way people really prizes you, but. Yeah. But trust is the thing I always ask, and my clients actually all showed to have trust. From the first one here in Toronto, that is York Marble people. Then I had the opportunity to do the house to them. It's like and now I have a portfolio of things built in Toronto, which before I didn't have. So that's a great thing. Or
well, I'm going to try to find a way to help you with some place in Texas that you have unresolved.
Yeah, I have an unresolved thing with Texas. I want to go there. So, I want to go to Texas.
So some people in Texas are going to be calling you.
Okay.
Stefano. Stefano, what about where you are going with your practice? In terms of where you are now, I can appreciate, but where would you like to go with it? And I say that from like a physical place. Is there a place you would love to build in, or I should say would love to design for and see built? Is there a specific type of home or building that you have not been able to do yet that you want to do? And I say this part because I strongly also believe by talking about what you want, it eventually manifests.
Oh, well, I don't know. I tell you where we are at now. In this moment, we are living a good moment in Italy for projects. We have been working so hard that now things are coming back. We have been published a lot in Italy for a long time, and we have been winning awards. Who cares really about the awards? But now, in this moment, they are actually we see that there is attention on what we do. People ask what we do, and we are doing, at the end of the day, bigger projects, thanks to that. So we started with projects that were maybe not big enough, not very big, but now we have done we have a portfolio of many different, we are not specialized. So we built from cemeteries, as I say, yeah, that are between landscape architecture and architecture, to very small single family home, to low income housing, to hotels, high end hotels, to condos on the seaside. We changed so many, to factories or to labs. We won as best practice in Italy 3 years ago, 2023, with a lab, which was all prefabricated building, and we never thought we would get anything from that. And so it's interesting how you see your work and how other people see your works. Maybe there's things you don't like the best, as people like more.
Everybody else
likes. It's like, to me, it was very shocking. And I even said the jury, it's like, are you sure that this is the project? Because I think we did better.
It's funny because right now what you're describing is the same as driving in the bus, where everybody else hated the building that you liked. Now you're the one that doesn't like the building that everybody else likes.
Yeah, maybe.
It's the role reversal over the years.
Yeah. Maybe it is. Maybe it is like that. So it's so we are in a good moment in Italy. I'm happy to be here in Canada. Keep doing what we do. The scale of the project we have here in Canada now is smaller in this moment, but we are working in a project that maybe happens that is much bigger than what I'm doing in Italy. So I strongly believe in being in Toronto. It's like for many reasons, which I explained already, but even because I think that's a city that still gives some opportunity. Is a little bit conservative for my way of seeing things, but it's okay.
It's conservative.
I don't need 10,000 clients. I just need one good thinking and understanding what we want to deliver. And what's the goal? I like to go west because the west philosophically is the way of the I don't know. It's the place where you would go and look for gold and find a bear, maybe, who eats you. So it's very risky. So I don't have a geographical place, but I like to say that the I don't know is really the philosophy I want to keep going on. So the West can be that, yeah, and which means the West Coast in Canada, but even the United States. I have no prejudice on places. If you tell me where I would like to have an office, of course, I would like to have it probably in Los Angeles. That's a place I really like because I was living there and I have good memories. And that when I go back, I still feel like even it's so wide, so different, so whatever, I still feel there is something that I belong to.
Yeah.
And maybe I don't, but it's just a feeling. So it's good. No big dreams about typologies. We are doing now very big for us gym. How you say sport facility in Italy, the biggest project I've been working in, and I have no, and I'm enjoying a lot doing. I'm happy of doing that because I could experiment on it in the same way I would have experimented in a smaller project.
Right.
And I had the trust of the politicians who really actually supported the project through really big waves. And we are finishing the project by June of next year.
It's exciting.
It's very exciting. Yeah, it's very exciting. And so I don't have the dream of the big. Of course, doing it bigger is going in a space you know less.
Yeah.
So you don't know. So it's always interesting because mechanism, the way you have to move, the way you have to talk, you have to design, you have to relate to other people is very different. And so that intrigues me on that. But at the same time, we are going on with industrial design, drawing a kitchen for the factory of my nephew now. So it's like I'm pretty happy of exploring things. So yeah.
I got to tell you, I so greatly appreciate you taking time to do this with me.
Oh.
It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure getting to know you on a now different level than what I previously did.
Okay.
And I think that it's been engaging. I'm actually really sure. I didn't know. I didn't know any of this. So it's been really nice for me to be able to get to know all of that, and I think for anyone that's listening to have been able to get to know the depth of knowledge that you've been able to attain over the course of your career, from schooling all the way through to where you are now. And I say this, that I hope that you're able to achieve what you want and find something on the West.
On the way.
I don't know, and I hope
I don't know.
yeah, and I hope the bear only is a flesh wound.
No, Mike, it's okay. It's okay. Bears exist.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ciao, ciao.